Good morning. This is Allegheny Highlands Arts and Crafts Center, and we are very privileged to have loaned to us for 3 days this week the Bible from St. John's College in Collegeville, Minnesota. This came about when a calligrapher and the head of St. John's Church decided they wanted to create a Bible that commemorated the year 2000. So this has been around for a while. It took a while to develop too. We've got the copy here that contains the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Acts, the New Testament, in other words. So you won't find anything from Genesis in this particular book. These are called, what, volumes?
Yes.
Volumes. And they go with a print and then the calligraphy. And my husband, Buddy, is going to tell you how that came about. Can you do that?
First off, the college came up with this idea of doing the illuminated manuscript of the Bible, and they needed to find someone to do the calligraphy. And when they found Donald Jackson in England, he had the same idea and been toying with it for years. So it was a match made in heaven. But anyway, they started this back in the 1990s, and they didn't finish until the early 2000s. There's 7 volumes altogether, and Donald Jackson did this one first because he's not a young man and he was afraid he might not be around to get the whole thing done. But he wanted to be sure that the Gospels got done. Anyway, it's done in the typical fashion that the monks did it back in the 900s and the 800s, and it's the first one that's been done since about 1430, 1450, when the printing press was invented. After that, they didn't see a need to be so laborious in reproducing something. So it's quite a feat. It's in 7 volumes, and of course these are copies.
Yes.
This is the Heritage Edition. It's not cheap, but the interesting thing about how this was created after they got through doing the whole 7 volumes, they had to hunt around for a printer to do it, and they hunted worldwide for a printer and found the printer in Minneapolis, just in next door. And it's done on 7 presses, and Donald Jackson, the calligrapher, had to make sure each page looked like it was printed on vellum, which the original is done, with sheepskin, and that the thickness of the paper imitated the vellum, and that the bleed through from one page to the next of the prints. Let me find one, if I can find one that shows it. It's kind of hard in the lighting we have here, but the bleed through, you can see a shadow on that page, or I can see it from my vantage point, from the print on the back. He wanted to be sure that came through because that's how the originals would have looked like back from the 800s and 900s.
So when the artist painted this side, the artist sent this to the next person. The next person then had to paint his or her side on that really good one. You're talking about not being able to make any mistakes. That really is there. But one thing we forgot to mention that we must mention is that we are borrowing this from
Grace
Episcopal Church in Lexington. They have had it, they will have it for 3 months. If you don't get here to see it, you can look on their website and find out a time you can visit it there. But it's traveling all over this part of the state. We were just lucky enough to be able to get it for the 3 days here. We're really pleased.
We were interested in having it here, not because it's a religious artifact, because this is an art center and not a church. We were interested in the artwork. Now, this artwork is not what, if you've ever studied
religious
illuminated manuscripts of a religious nature, you know what those images look like. This is one done in the 1990s and the 2000s. So this artwork is of today. And because the world today is so intertwined, this artwork shows that. It's showing perspectives from many different cultures
many different times.
Many different times.
But it is based on the Revised Standard Version of the Bible.
Yes.
All the script you would find totally familiar.
This picture is the first illumination in the book, and it's showing the lineage of Jesus. They used a menorah because, as we all know, Jesus was a Jew, born a Jew, died a Jew. So they used the menorah as that symbol. His lineage is all here, written in several languages.
Aramaic, Hebrew, and
Greek, and English.
English is there.
The swirly lines here emulate DNA to show
The helix of the generations.
the inheritance line up from David,
And here is
and further back.
also in here. Anything that's in gold refers to Christ, so that you know that when you open it up, you will see the relation of Christ to that particular page or that particular event. And the fact that all of this is up here, this takes hours. We're going to have a sample of gold leaf here, so we hope that you're able to come see it. This is
Mandela.
Thank you. Mandela, which is a symbol used in many of the Mid-Eastern religions. So you will find the Mandelas. Here's some more of the double helix here, which is purely 2000. So it's really, you have to look. You have to look. Everything in here would symbolize something else.
This is not an illumination as such, as it wanted to highlight the text. The text in this is the Sermon on the Mount. These are the Beatitudes. And because they are so important in Christianity, they wanted to highlight that so that it stood out from just the black text. So that's why this was done this way.
The gold is all through here. And of course the print is in gold because Christ said it. It's kind of like one of those Bibles that has Christ's words in red, only they're in gold here. Okay, now we go from something as elaborate as the Beatitudes down to something as simple as a dragonfly. Dragonfly was used in a lot of connections and symbolism in the Bible. So they have decorated, the artists have decorated the pages with the insects of the Jews and the insects of America, which is in Minnesota. So we'll see the flowers, the insects. The insects are beautifully drawn. Oh, love this.
This is my favorite one because
I think mine too.
It's the first one I ever saw.
Yeah. This is the baptism of Christ.
Let's look at it carefully. You would think, since it's about the baptism of Christ, that this figure in the foreground would be Jesus, and it is not. This is John the Baptist. Jesus, if you look carefully, you can find him because what's the color?
Gold. There
Gold,
he is.
So there he is, back
and he
there.
is just among the crowd. John is set out from the crowd. There were parts of the Gospels say that John the Baptist wasn't even at the baptism of Christ, that it was done otherwise, and that he sees it. And I think what he's seeing here is all of the future of the people with Christ. Remember, he's killed and it does not participate in the travels or the teachings of Jesus at all. Again, we have probably one of the cathedrals of the East, living oats and grass that symbolize this. And the artists also wanted to show the cosmic effect of Christ. And in a lot of these, you'll see a beautiful sky full of angels and birds and filigree from other buildings. This one does that particularly well. But as you begin to go through it, if you take time, you can just look for one thing and see if you can find it in every painting.
There's foreshadowing in this one also.
Yeah.
All this looks glorious, but right here, you see something that looks like the devil with two red eyes.
It's a crow.
Two spiders.
Yeah.
And this is foreshadowing the temptation of Christ that occurs after the baptism. If you want to see this marvelous work, the center's open from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. Please come by and enjoy the images. No charge, as always, here at the Art Center.